Hello and welcome to episode 19 of War Down South, the Warhammer podcast from the south coast of the UK. Callum, joined by Ricky and Sam as ever.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. Just Ricky
Loud
in the intro
and
today.
clear.
Loud and clear. Brilliant. So this week, guys, talk about the new releases from GW, what hobby stuff we have been up to, and then our major topics are upgrades to classic GW models, a la Be'lakor and Lord Croak, and whether or not GW have dropped the ball on Cursed City. Really interesting discussion, and we also take some questions from the audience over the last couple of weeks. So, sit back, grab a stiff drink, let's roll. Fantastic. Thanks for joining us again, Callum, Ricky, and Sam. How are you gentlemen doing this week? Starting with Sam. How are you, my friend?
On the spot, go.
Yeah. It was all going really well, and yeah. And this afternoon can fuck off. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you, buddy. It's been a long couple of weeks. Started doing a couple of days in the office a week, and moving from corporate air conditioning to not air conditioning, I think, is just playing with my tiredness levels.
Did they also have to have that awkward conversation with you where you turned up on the first day still naked? They're like, you can't do that now.
No,
just turn up with a shirt on.
yeah, just Donald Duck in it.
Yeah, I had to wear.
What's that slapping noise? Is someone running in flip flops? Just Callum strutting. Thigh slap, thigh slap, thigh slap.
Not quite. I did have to wear all three of my girdles to fit into my work shirts, though.
Shatner style.
But not too bad. Just busy and tired. Bit of normality coming up. So yeah, it's good to talk about some toys on a Friday. How are you, Ricardo?
Mate, I'm good. Work's super stressful at the moment, but trying to just, separate yourself from it and do some hobby. And I actually did some hobby, so yeah, I'm happy with that. Happy with that.
Awesome. So, we might as well talk about that for a little bit. What hobby did you do?
Oh, I painted a Necron.
That surprised me. That came out of left field.
Yeah, I've got an Indomitus box still, which was intended to just expand or probably sell a few bits on that I didn't want. I just wanted a few bits out of it, and I grabbed the Overlord out of it and went, do you know what? I wanted it for like a couple of the characters because they're pretty sweet. And I thought, fuck it, I've got some time before dinner. Let's build him and paint him. And I thought I'd do him quite similar to my Custodes, but in more of a, like a quicker form. It's more dry brushed than it is painted on. And I was quite surprised that I could do him in like about 3 hours, I think it was. From sprue to finish.
Yeah, it looks
nice, grimy.
Using that sort of technique to get it to that level, and then you could go like ham with the details and highlights and stuff. It's a good.
Yeah, you could do so much more.
Yeah, it's a good. It was a good little accomplishment. You painted more model there than I have this year. So
really that bad?
No. I've put a lot of paint on sisters. I've just not finished anything. No, that's not true. You finished more models. There we go.
That's the first model I've painted this year and finished, because I think I did. Did I finish my Custodes this year, or did I finish them last year?
No, that's this year. Yeah, you painted Valoran, didn't you?
Was that this year?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I don't even know anymore, mate.
I don't know.
It's
where does everything?
It's already mid-April. It is almost over.
He is almost over.
What hobby have you been up to, Sam?
I've actually done a fair bit in between the different things I've been doing for work. So I've had lots of spaces where I could take a break and go and do something else while I wait for my machine to do things. So I've actually done a fair bit. I rooting around in the cupboard the other day. I opened up my case that has my Traitor Guard in it, and I was further along with that than I realised. So I thought, right, I need to not paint some Death Guard for a bit. So I need to paint something that's not white. So I thought I'd do them a bit. So I only had like 3 infantry squads and a tank really still to do. And I'm quite a way through that now. So I might just finish that off. So then like my go-to list with that is done. Then I can just paint like the options at my own leisure, I suppose. Also built a unit of Knights Gallant for Titanicus.
Oh yeah,
want some little windmill bots.
Sweet.
Yeah,
windmill bots.
Yeah, they're adorable. They're so cute. They're only like Terminator sized.
I love the fact that the kit comes with a left and a right hand for each knight.
Yeah, you can literally just have them windmilling.
What fits?
Yeah. So you can have them. Oh, so you can have them like so. With mine, I've got 2 units of 6 gallants, and the unit leader in each banner has just 2 Thunderstrike gauntlets instead of a chainsword.
That's brilliant. Just proper rock and sock and roll.
Yeah, it's cool because one of the alternate heads that comes on the upgrade sprue has like a little crown on it. So I've used that as my unit leader. Mm-hmm. But I only need a unit of 3 because they're just an option to like up my 1750 list to 2000.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I also started building a Warbringer today.
Oh, he's a nice big kit.
He is. Yeah. He is. I can't wait to ding the fuck out of him.
Yeah. Have they come out with the option for the shoulder-mounted volcano cannon for him yet?
Nope. No, I imagine that's going to be a separate upgrade at some point, or maybe like a separate kit, like in the same way they sell the Reavers. Although I was quite annoyed when I opened the box and realised that I didn't read it properly, and it said it has some of the weapon cards on it. I was like, oh, that's great, but it has 3 cards one for the option that doesn't exist, and the other 2 are for some of the weapon options. Now I need another card for his right arm.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, fuck's sake.
I think like for Titan, like I really love the terminal, like the way the terminals are designed and stuff. But I feel like you should just be able to buy, like I should be able to buy a pack that has like a 50 quid pack or whatever, which just has multiple terminals for every Titan and Knight in the game and all of the cards and multiples of everything.
Yeah, I wouldn't even mind paying a bit more per kit to just have the terminal in the box.
Yeah, because the
the basic options in it.
Yeah, and sort of streaming into the GW new releases, the Precept Maniple Battle Force, the new sort of like battalion with the Warlord, Warbringer, Reaver, and 2 Warhounds in it. That comes with all of the terminals and weapon options.
And why couldn't that have been out a month ago? Like, at the start, I would have bought that. That's an awesome value box set. That's probably one of the best value box sets GW's done in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, all of the Titanic, like all of the Titanica starter sets and stuff have been really good. I mean, I think the only difference between this one and the one that was out last year is you get the Warbringer. And I think it's like 30 quid more expensive, maybe. And I think the Reaver is different. I think it was the standard loadout Reaver instead of the metal one. But yeah, really, really good box set. And also they released all of the a bunch of the transfer sheets, which people are quite excited about.
Yeah, I'm too ham-fisted for transfers.
Yeah,
I'll either pay someone else to do it or just forgo it entirely.
Yeah, I'm not like even on like non-Titanica stuff, like on like Space Marines and stuff. Just I can't be bothered with that.
It's a 30k thing. Transfers.
Yeah, but I always prefer the look of molded detail.
Yeah, honestly,
mainly because I can do that a color and then wash it.
Because you can paint
it. Like. the idea of putting transfers and glossing and varnish, like I don't want to do that.
Well, I mean, it lends itself to Titanicus quite nicely because you get lots of flat spaces.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
I'm also a ham-fisted moron, so.
Yeah. I mean, the people who do it fantastically. I just can't do it. I can't be bothered.
Speaking of which, I saw something on the Titanicus group on Facebook earlier. There's this guy that's been making like Cornate Titans, and he's filled all the blank space on a Reaver Titan using skull faces that he's literally shaved off of the GW skull. You know, that massive pack of skulls that they sell? He's literally shaved those like 1 mil thick and used them to coat it. It's stunning. Like, I was like, that's a really good idea. I do not have the patience for that.
I mean,
you know, when you wish you had more time.
What I'm picturing in my head, that looks terrible, but I'm sure it's really well done and looks really good. That description, I could just imagine a Reaver who's just covered in skulls and it looks terrible. But no, I'm sure it's really well done.
I'll find a picture. I'll message it to you.
Yeah. I've been I've smashed out a little bit of hobby in the last week. I managed to put together all of the heroes from Cursed City, and some of the villains and stuff. The kits are amazing. Maybe a little bit of scale creep. Comparing them to few of the like a few just random AOS models I've got laying about. I've got like a few characters left over from my old like Free Guild army. So, like you have to remember is that like a lot of the models in AOS are still tie-overs from Warhammer Fantasy. But I was like, this is my Empire General, and then putting him next to like the Witch Hunter, and
it's AOS.
So it's just like but even more so. I think it's a little bit bigger, but like it doesn't really matter. Like I'd want my characters to be bigger models, so then people can see them because they're the important. Yeah, see that doesn't look anywhere near as bad as you explained. That looks fine.
No, yeah, I'm not sure about the teeth on the top.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but the skull effect is fantastic. Like the effort that he's gone to do that.
So to anyone that's probably like, what the hell's just?
I'll flash the image up.
Sam's just sent us a photo of the Titan that he was talking about.
That looks fine.
Yeah, that's classic old school chaos.
That's dedication to recreate that, to cut all those 1 mil thick. So like he was saying that he cut it thin enough so when he put the glue on the back, it would soften what's left of that skull and just neatly go flush bend it around the carapace.
There's no way he shaved that with a hobby knife. He's used a Dremel.
Like, more than likely.
There's no way have they like cut the back half off and then shaved that down with a hobby knife. No, Dremel all the way. You could do each one of those in seconds and lose most of your hand. But
yeah,
yeah, I reckon he used the belt
sander. Go on, Tiny Skull, and you.
But
and there's my fingernail.
But yeah, those kits have gone together really well. They are push fit as well. And I've not had a problem with any of the models apart from the big vampire bat monster. I can't remember what it's called. The not Vargulf.
Yeah, that's its official title.
Bat monster. Yeah,
not Vargulf.
It's a like the arms and bits that plug into it are just a bit big and heavy, I think. So he requires a little bit of green stuff work, but
not suffering from the old GW push fit problem of all the pegs are way too big for the miniature that they're on.
I would say on that one the pegs are too small. But yeah, a great raft of models. I think I'm pretty sure I've still got a bunch of like 28mm and 40mm Broken City bases from Generation Shift that I use for all my Middle-earth stuff. And I think I'm going to put all of the 28mm and 40mm models on those for like cobblestones.
Oh, that would look awesome.
And then like make some cobblestoney bases for the larger stuff and stuff on 32mm bases. because a load of it has like bits of masonry and stuff that's about, and then just sort of like texturing the base and then having a random pillar doesn't quite make sense for an actual city for me. So like the so for example, the Gorslav, the gravedigger guy, I want him like covered in earth and stuff, and all the zombies covered in earth, because they're just all dug up from a hole. But the skeletons and the vampires
That'd
and
be
stuff, actually like on city cobblestone base, I think would be quite cool.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah, I'm house sitting for the lovely Mr. Peter Spratt next week, looking after his dogs.
Doggos? You get unadulterated pupper time.
Oh, when he off to Centre Park.
So I'm going to spend a week. So I've got to carefully choose the hobby things to take with me, as well. Well, no, just for stuff that I'll actually do instead of stuff that's going to sit in a box and not get touched. more than anything. But that'll be a lot of fun. So I mean, I've got lots of hobby time anyway, but I'll definitely need it there. So other than that, sort of new releases and pre-orders, obviously, Cursed City came out last week, and we'll be talking a little bit about that later on in the episode. But it's a good kit if you've got one, and I've got one, so huzzah. But the last week has also seen the release of that Adeptus Titanicus Battle Force, a new print of the rulebook, the Loyalist Legio book, which actually looks amazing. I think there was like 10 pages of fluff per Loyalist Legio in there, I think it was.
It's a big old book.
Including, you can see from the picture, it's a thick boy. Including like Legio strengths and stuff, which is quite cool. And it's got all of the Loyalist knight households in it as well. And finally, the War Master with his plasma destructors was released, and that thing is huge.
It's that's a monster boy as well.
Yeah.
I like that he can't be taken in maniples as well. You have to leave enough space to fit it in your list as a support titan.
Yeah,
like I pointed one up just on the basic options in the box, not knowing what was on there, and it's over 1,000 points.
Yeah, I think he's about 1,200 points, because I didn't realise, but it's got little it's got guns like under its shoulder pads, which are equivalent to what a Warhound has.
Yeah, the cheapest loadout you can get out of it is just under 1,100 points, like 1,060 points.
Yeah.
But you can make it more expensive. Like you can give it melter cannons in its armpits and shit. It's absolutely mental.
Yeah, it's a big one. It's a big cool model. So that's really cool. And there's a beautiful bunch of those in the Titanicus groups. GW sent out a bunch of them early to painters, and seeing loads of those come out in like different Legio colours was really cool. And like I said, there's the Ignatum Metallica, Solaria, and Astorum transfer sheets, if that means anything to you, if you're a Titanicus player.
Sounds like you're just speaking Latin to me.
Yeah, that's how you play Titanicus. There's no dice are rolled. You literally just yell pig Latin at each other until someone falls over.
And other than that, not really a lot. I think the GW released some upgrades and add-ons for Blood Bowl. I know that they released a
really.
Yeah, I think there's a quicker version of Blood Bowl that they've released rules for in the Killzone set called which is Blood Bowl Sevens. So a bit like Rugby Sevens. So it's a smaller. Yeah, smaller pitch and fewer models, which is quite cool. And they finally released that cool elf and dwarf referee as well, which is quite nice. And the Imperial Nobles and the Black Orc teams and Griff Overworld and Varangulture are all available. Well,
so it's a small release.
It's a couple of kits, yeah. Some stuff, I don't know. And other than that, yeah.
Where have I been all week?
Really, a huge amount. But obviously we know that GW are moving to sort of a big release every couple of weeks, just because of the nature of the world at the moment. So we're just kind of waiting for the next big thing. Yeah, we're sort of getting like the Luminef drop was massive. Like that's a lot of kits, it's a lot of units, but obviously we're not playing a lot of AOS at the moment, so it kind of goes past us and our group. But
for our listeners,
yeah,
sure
I mean the Luminef the Luminef range is outstanding, and all of the additional stuff they got added to it
is incredible, isn't
rad.
It?
But yeah, so just sort of in a holding pattern, waiting for the next big 40k release, which I assume is Mechanicus, because we've seen the GW release this week.
Just out of nowhere.
Just out of nowhere. Oh yeah, of course. Everybody's getting upgraded weapons in this edition, so here are the Mechanicus ones, and yeah,
and they're fabulous. They're exactly what I would have expected.
An arc rifle kills stuff and blows up vehicles. Like the guns just are getting that sort of. I mean the bump in generic weapons that essentially Marines got at the start of the edition are now happening with other races, like unique weapons. So we saw it with the Drakari, like with Dark Lances going up, the Heat Lances changing, and all of that great stuff with their combat weapons. Saw a big change in like the Death Guard specific weapons. A lot of those became a lot more killy and usable to push people towards the more unique stuff, and now we're seeing it with the Mechanicus. So,
do you know what? I'm really intrigued with Tau.
I think,
like, if everybody's getting this weapon,
just got to wait for the design team to run in with the magic sponge and revive them. Come on, little communist space fish! Come on.
I'm very intrigued, because I know that when a Tau book gets released, I will add another Tau army to my collection. Because that's the way it works with Tau army books.
I mean, when you say your collection,
the fifth expansion of Callum's Empire,
yeah. Do you still have them?
I've still got 2, plus my Kroot army somewhere.
Jesus.
Those are.
They're in a vault somewhere.
Mate. I think they're just in a big storage box at my brother's. I think I haven't seen them in years, so there might be a huge pile of Kroot and Forge World Kroot in a landfill somewhere. But if he's chucked them out over the years, but I'm sure they're probably beyond a rescuable condition anyway. But I like to think that it's still there, waiting for the day that I return to them. That's it.
Like the prodigal son.
I'm the big mega shaper. I'm coming out of the wild. But yeah. So they're one of the most interesting books to sort of think, what could GW do to make them better in this assault orientated edition that we've got, because.
They've suffered for a couple of editions.
Being able to, like, just upping the guns and the killiness and the amount of shots and stuff is fine to a point, and everything being able to Overwatch all the time is fine to a point. But better players will just play around it.
I think smart missiles and line of sight missing stuff, like, you know, stuff that's not requiring line of sight might become a bit more of a thing for them. Well, I would like to think so.
I had to lean on it quite heavily in 8th edition, because there were lots of, you know, like Nova style L buildings and stuff showing up, and just having to use all of that just to try and shoot those little units that are hiding on objectives in my opponent's deployment zone. But I think the inherent problem is not that they can't see everything to shoot it. It's that they have to purely rely on shooting. Like Tau cannot bully people off of objectives and hold to them.
So do you think they might? So who was the chap in the chair who had the two bodyguards?
Unvar, yeah, he's dead.
Unvar. So do you think there might be some kind of expansion with those two bodyguards?
I think it's more likely to come from Farsight, and like just having combat battle suits, I think is a bit well, I think it's a bit unnuanced. They'll go that way. Like you know, GW have.
I mean, they're very much an adaptable race, aren't they? Because they can effectively just do what they want to fit.
Yeah,
which
it's
they
just
prove
that
they do.
They typically disdain from close combat. But I don't like just having like units of mini Farsights. I don't think will fit aesthetically or thematically for the army, even however it's justified. They're just a really unique problem that needs to be solved, and it might be solved by just adding more mercenary races.
Yeah, I'd like to see some more of the alien auxiliaries.
So having a load of stuff that they can then like throw at objectives and beat people off of them. And
what they need is to remove the Tau element
I think it might
and bring back the Shaper Council filled with eviscerators. That's the answer.
That's the dream, mate. Yeah, five Shapers with 3 Kroot Hounds each. And a Master Shaper in there with his 3 Kroot Hounds, all armed with eviscerators. What a time to be alive. Loved it.
How old were you? 13.
I used it for a couple of years.
When that was a thing.
Yeah. I didn't take it to any GTs. 15. I took it to a couple of Pompey Pillages because we played. We had a hard fought draw. Against your World Eaters.
Did we?
You had
my
you had the Demon Prince, and you had 3 like
the Terminator.
You had 3 like Armor 13 upgraded dreadnoughts, I think.
Oh god, yeah, my running dreadnoughts.
Yeah,
beautiful.
1,000 years ago.
Good times, mate. Good times.
Well, that was So that would have been in 4th edition. That would have been early 4th edition. Very, very long time ago, 15, 16 years ago, maybe.
Whoa.
Yeah, I remember.
I remember my army.
No, it was.
I'm not sure.
It was great
yours.
because I painted it it was after the Ogre Kingdoms release, and they had that amazing like brown flesh spray, and then I just did an early form of spray it brown, ink wash it. Paint their tummy colours, paint their hair colours, and paint their weapons. It was great.
Good times.
How did we get here? Where are we?
On that note, either way, on that note, Alan, I know you're listening. I got some World Eaters before you did.
That's very true. Cool. So we will. Oh no! Final new releases. Today is the pre-order for Old Man Dane and his son Thorin from Forgeworld for you Middle Earth people.
Lovely,
beautiful models.
Oh yeah, I got the email this morning.
Nice.
We're
gonna get War for the Mountain or War in the North, and it's gonna be a great fucking expansion.
I've managed to behave myself and not order them so far. I nearly went, ooh, click, and then I remembered, no, I've got a lot of dwarves still to paint.
Careful, you might want to order them because they might not be available soon.
Okay, so the rest of this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about GW's logistics problems, whether or not Cursed City has a dropped ball or a hit for 6.
It's a marketing.
It's all conspiracy.
Yeah, it's all to do with the Clintons. And
All right. Don't want to get banned. Come on. Yes, we're gonna talk a bit about that people's reaction to the Care City issues, because that's the really way to put it. We're then going to talk about some of the big model changes and some speculation on what we will get in the future, and then we'll be taking some questions from you lovely people. So join us again in a sec. Thanks very much. Sam, play dubstep. Okay, fantastic. I hope everybody enjoyed those wub-wubs and Ricky enjoyed his wee. So,
hey, it wasn't just me.
No, it's probably
it wasn't just me. It was the other old man.
Yeah. So, GW logistic issues. It
doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. I think everybody is aware that COVID and Brexit obviously has an impact on a British manufacturing company. So we'll just preface this whole discussion with that will be the main driver of why things are delayed and release schedules are changed. Basically,
and don't forget people doing donuts in their super tankers.
Yes, yeah. Also, people.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Everyone trying to pop a wheelie in the Suez Canal. Probably don't do that.
How much do you reckon he was bet to do that? If you can turn it on the spot here, I'll give you.
Was I talking to you, Callum? Don't they have someone that's literally just supposed to take over captaincy at that point to make sure that doesn't happen?
Yeah, so
they
if you
had two on board,
yeah,
if
you're a certain size, you have to have a specific pilot to go through I think like Suez and Panama and places like that. And they had two on board, but the problem is that their steering just broke, and then a sandstorm hit them and nudged them into the side of the canal. But anyway,
and no one was definitely trying to do an end-all because girls were looking in it.
that may have been the reason. So obviously, with the new edition of 40k, we were probably expecting to have more codexes out by now, considering the game is 9 months old.
I know.
And we've had Space Marines, Necrons, Death Guard, and Drakari, and then a few Space Marine supplements. We're aware that GW are behind. Now, whether or not this is something other than those logistical issues that we've talked about, which are beyond their control. I mean, any company that produces. Obviously, GW themselves produce all the models. That I have no doubt is not the problem. The issue will be all of the things that they rely on logistics chains to deal with, i.e. printing overseas for things like books and card tiles, etc., which is just not financially viable to do in the UK at a large scale.
I'm also led to believe they're actually expanding their warehousing.
Yes, yeah, from
on their grounds that they've got.
Yeah, from what I heard, there was a big expansion to the actual warehouse and working.
I would imagine that's probably been halted.
Yeah, exactly. But whether or not there's anything really that can be done to not necessarily mitigate the issue, because if it is down to those worldwide logistical problems, there's not really anything GW can do about it, apart from to slow their release schedule, which hampers them financially because they're not releasing things to the timetable, or they're not releasing the things that they want to release at that point in the year. Or be more communicative with the community. And I think, and you won't hear me, and this isn't even really a criticism, but you won't hear me criticize GW too often, because I feel like there are too many negatives out there anyway.
And as we've previously established, you are GW's filthy cabana boy.
That's it, mate. If they give me a boot, I will lick it. But I feel like with
I can imagine Lee polishing his boots right now.
Yes.
Next time you're in there, he's going to be like,
"Store's open now."
Well, have you been back?
I've been working. I'm planning.
I can imagine he's got his lunge.
Yeah, you're going to hear a "hang on a minute," and then
perfect with his polished boot waiting for you.
Yeah, he's going to have his biggest boots on, like full-on fucking Gene Simmons platforms, struggling to walk on.
Lee, we love you. It's just fun.
Lee, I just wanted to buy some toys.
I feel like as a whole, like I think that during a time of impacted logistics, it's difficult to foresee what can be released this far ahead, etc., etc. But sometimes we don't get anything from GW about stuff, or we don't get like a Warhammer community article, which is you know where to go find it. It's plastered all over Facebook, etc., etc. So, for example, when the Death Guard Codex got delayed, we got an article, but no real knowledge of when it was coming. So, from my understanding, that was scheduled to be like an October release, and we got it January, February.
Yeah, I think it was January in the end. Mid-January, maybe.
Mid-Jan, yeah, maybe, yeah, because and Dark Angels were Feb, Drukhari were March, yeah. So that's the part of it. Like I feel like GW know what they can release and what they've got the stock for X number of months, I imagine, because it's the stuff that is sitting in the warehouses ready to go. And beyond that, it obviously becomes more difficult with getting stuff from overseas, etc., and shipping stuff out. Especially as GW don't want there to be delays with releases worldwide. They want everything to be available to everyone at the same time. But that's where I think a lot of people's not necessarily distrust, but maybe a bit of angst towards GW comes from. I don't know if you'd agree with that. I mean, we get loads of cool articles about stuff, and that's great. I like the idea of Warhammer community as a dedicated team to essentially sell us models and entertain us is something that's been needed within the hobby community for forever.
And they do a fantastic job of it as well.
Yeah, and this isn't aimed at them, because they are told what they can preview, etc., etc. So it's not aimed at the actual community team. It just I just kind of feel that when there are delays and problems to what people are expecting, we could maybe just get a couple of weeks notice, other than the sort of Sunday preview. Because the Sunday preview, here's what's for pre-order next week, so it's out in 2 weeks' time, is great. But when you're not really knowing what's ahead and we're already behind, it kind of feels like we know all of this cool stuff's coming. Like, Sisters are getting an expansion. There's obviously a Mechanicus Codex and like a couple of models for that maybe, and there's all of this Orc stuff coming. We know we would assume that stuff is next, but it's difficult to envision when that is and what that is. And I know the marketing of everything is a very finely tuned process of not wanting to overwhelm a particular game or faction when stuff's being released, because you lose a level of engagement towards stuff. But I feel like where we're already a couple of months behind, not knowing even rough guidelines. Like it kind of like. I mean, I don't mind. I'll buy whatever's available to me, but it's just sort of. I imagine there are people there with like Mechanicus codexes ready to drop a load of money on new Mechanicus stuff, and it's just sort of. I don't know when it's coming. Like that could be the next codex. Could be. I mean, I initially assumed it would be April because we've had one a month, but. We're already over 2 weeks into April, so unless it's up on the Sunday preview this week, it's not coming this month. So it's a difficult one. I mean, I don't know what you guys think about that sort of point. That maybe that's.
I mean, I sympathise.
Oh yeah,
with
absolutely.
Because I as some of obviously our listeners probably know, I work in the sports industry, and obviously we had a lockdown, and most people probably know that the world went mental for bikes, and there was absolutely nothing available in the UK when it comes to bikes that people could buy, and that's through absolutely every single supplier that there was. And with that came bike components, bike bits and pieces, all the accessories that come with it. We, as it still stands, are still struggling, even to this day, to be able to fulfill people's requirements to the point where we've had to turn off like email notifications where customers are able to get notifications when things are back in stock, because we just can't dedicate a date to fulfill those. We have a time frame, but we just can't turn around and go, yeah, it is going to be that date. So I kind of know where they are at. I think they're probably in the very same, situation where they just don't know themselves.
Yeah.
So are just doing their best to give their community something, rather than just literally turning around and saying, yeah, this is going to happen, and then it never happens, and then imagine that.
Oh yeah. For sure. I mean, I guess that's kind of why we've seen like a bit of a hodgepodge of releases over the last few weeks. I mean, we've had like I said, the pre-order up currently is Blood Bowl, Middle Earth, and Titanicus. Like a weird amount of games.
I mean, that said, I'm quite enjoying the scattergun release approach. This is what we've got. Boom.
It feels very old school. Like you would open White Dwarf and there would just be random things released.
That's pretty much how White Dwarf still is.
But if you think like we had, I think we had Lumineth and then Drakari on like consecutive weekends, and those are both big releases, even though there wasn't any new Drakari models really. But
sadly, like noises.
That's a nice model, but I've not put that together yet. I've not even opened my Piety and Pain. That's
even
bad,
sadder Lilith noises.
That's me depriving.
You're joking.
No, it's still. I'm pretty sure. I've not even opened it. It's still in the cellophane.
I like how you think you're a Drakari player.
I bought a lot of other Drakari stuff.
Buying it doesn't mean anything.
I opened all three of my Combat Patrol boxes and put stuff together from all of them. So, fuck you.
But still hasn't managed to fully build one of those boxes.
No, oh god, no. But like most of the stuff I don't need from them. It's just easier to buy the big box and then have more of the little bits left over. But anyway, back on track. So I like that's the kind of problem. I mean, people's demand has only increased. Like even if you take the pandemic and everything out of it, GW is an expanding business with an expanding customer base. So every new release brings more people into the hobby. It will bring more people into the hobby than are ultimately pushed out of it. You know, if you think there's a like a plus and net people people who leave the hobby because they've discovered booze and women, or have grown out of it, or whatever, or just given up on it.
They'll be back, losers.
And then once they discover booze and women,
Yeah.
they come back.
And so if you compare like the average number of people who just never pick up a model again every month compared to the new people who pick up models for the first time, at the moment that is I assume a big plus of new people over people leaving. And then when you factor in everybody sat at home and nerds have still got money in their pocket to buy toys and nothing else to do.
Yeah,
the demand is huge.
The pandemic's had a massive effect on my hobby. I've done more hobby and bought more hobby related stuff in the last year than I have probably in the last 3.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what impact it's had. I know that I've probably painted less because I haven't been able to go to events. But
I'm probably the same. I've built more. Yeah. I've definitely bought and built more.
Yeah, I've definitely bought an amount that's a lot. But
says Callum, looking over a pile of Dracari sprues propping up the west wing of his house.
That's not what I'm looking at. I think, I'm looking at a pile of boxes and sprues. Let's have the listeners guess what I'm looking at. Which of my abandoned projects or things that I've bought for a future project do we think I'm looking at? And I will confirm what it is next episode. This is a fun game. I can change it every episode. And we'll be done, and we'll still have new stuff for the next year.
Let me think. So where
I am
you
sat at my desk in my bedroom.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Then.
You've never been up here.
Unlike I have.
No.
I say been up there. I woke up there after a night once. Callum tucked a tenner into my pocket and told me to get the fuck out.
I've never been privileged enough. I've only ever met.
But we'll play that. So everyone guess. Crawl back through all of the old episodes. Give them a listen and another view each. And the
solid promoting there.
Yeah.
It's a shameful plug.
I'm getting good at this. And guess it could be AOS, it could be 40k, it could be Titanicus, it could be Aeronautica, it could literally be anything that GW produced because I'd buy all of them.
Aeronautica. There was a whim.
So okay. Anyway, so we were talking about GW logistics and communication. So.
The future is bright.
Yeah, so I mean, I think GW have necessarily not handled things great, in all honesty. But I can imagine that because they're still able to release things that aren't reliant from overseas, they can just sort of plug the gaps in the release schedule as they go. Until things become more certain. But I think this is mostly evident with Cursed City.
Let's just say it's an ever fluid situation that is just impossible to predict. So therefore, Cursed City is
really cursed.
Maybe.
But
really
I mean, taking into account that logistically, obviously, it's difficult to think ahead and make statements about stuff. So we've been excited about Cursed City since the February preview, I think. Maybe the end of January one. I can't really recall when we got the first proper look at it. But this is the latest in the queue of Warhammer Quest games, and the assumption and the communications that people seem to get from GW that this was the inheritor to Blackstone Fortress, which you can still buy from Games Workshop. You can't necessarily get all of the expansions, but you can buy the core game, and it is what it is. It's a bunch of missions in a box with loads of cool models, and then there are expansions to build onto that. And then, I mean, I think Blackstone Fortress has been around for 2.5, maybe 3 years, so it's had a good life. And the assumption that people have made, and based on what GW have said, that this is the next one in the cycle. So maybe Blackstone Fortress will get cycled out, or you'll only be able to direct only order the core box game, so it's not sitting on shelves everywhere. And the models are awesome. The cinematics were awesome. The setting is awesome because it is classic. Not even classic Warhammer Quest. This is classic like role playing tabletop RPG territory, isn't it? Like, and band of fantasy people go into a city filled with zombies and skeletons and go kill the big guy. Like that is every Warhammer role play, every fantasy role play.
That's every
it is
fundamental.
That's how that's so you can get why people are excited. Plus the models are incredible. Plus they sort of foreshadowed the Soulblight Gravelords and stuff coming along, which lots of people are excited for. Now everything GW sort of said, and sort of linking back to the possible clarity of communications. The assumption was that this was going to be a core set that the expansions will come along for. So even if you start playing it in a year's time, you can still buy the core set. You can buy whatever expansions are currently available, and you can go. Obviously, 2021, we're living in Scalper's paradise. So anytime anything new comes up within a high demand market, people buy as much of it as possible and immediately put it on eBay for twice the price. Now, I didn't do that. I bought mine and I opened it, because I'm an actual hobbyist. And there is a so within the community there is FOMO, so there is the fear of missing out. Now, I don't think this is as big as the internet says it is, because I know the amount. Well, I don't know, but I can see the amount of product GW produce and send to their stores. I mean, the UK's biggest Warhammer stockist outside of Games Workshop had copies of Cursed City in their store when they opened last week. On the 12th, earlier this week, and that was Element Games. So there were copies out there. Yeah. You wouldn't have been able to order it directly from GW because they sold out on Monday, I think. My local store, who I buy all of my stuff, the majority of my stuff from, A Fistful of Dice, they had copies of Curse City available well into Saturday afternoon, which, considering when things sell out instantly at 1 minute past 10, it means that there are copies out there. Wonderful friend who's, that we all love, and listener, Mr. Pete Jarman, he's the gentleman building an original Warhammer Quest out of new models, bought one. He messaged me a couple of days after the release. Yep, he got one at a good discount, and he was like, I'm going to treat myself because I deserve it. And he bought one, which is great. And that was, nearly 2 weeks after the pre-order. So they are about. I get that you wouldn't been able to order it necessarily directly from GW and get the cool key, whatever. I mean, I wanted one, but I wasn't going to pay retail for it when I knew I could definitely get it from a local stockist and support a local shop. So there is a mix of, I don't know when this is going to come back into stock, like Indomitus. Like, GW were very upfront with Indomitus is a limited release. We've got a lot of it, but we don't know how much people are going to buy. I mean, I imagine every new set that's sold by GW, more and more people buy it than they expect. I mean, that can be the only reason for these sorts of sale figures. And it's not scalpers buying everything, because it's not. It's people buying everything because they want it, and then there are scalpers. And sort of linking with that communication, it seems that in responding to a tweet, GW have said it's currently been taken off of the web store, and we don't know when it's going to be available, and we don't know whether or not it's coming back. So please check your local Games Workshop stores and your local independent stock lists and see what they've got. Now, if this is the only communication we get on that, a response to somebody in a tweet, that's very bad. Because not everyone sees that. Like I rummage around in lots of hobby Twitter, so I saw it almost straight away. But if that's not in a Warhammer community article saying that this is possibly now a limited run game, even without explanation, that's that. If we don't get that at the bare minimum, that's bad. I think we can agree on that. Especially when the assumption is that this is a new core game, or it's a core set that we're going to expand on in the future. So fingers crossed that's happened in the last 24 hours, that we get something this weekend where GW come out and say, this is the situation. My bets are tiles and books and tokens are, maybe we're on the Ever Given, or a ship that was behind the Ever Given, or stuck in China because of export, trade war nonsense. Like, it could be anything. That's my bet as to why I imagine there are stacks and stacks of the models available. But obviously, regardless, not having that information has led people to be quite upset with Games Workshop. I mean, if I didn't get one, because I bought one on release. I love Warhammer Quest, but I'm not expecting to play this as my main game. I bought it because the models are cool and I wanted it. So if you were sort of, oh no, it's all right, I'll pick it up in a couple of months, or the timing's not right financially, I've got to pay off my credit card or whatever. Like, and then it's no longer ever available for less than 250 quid from some dickhead scalper. That's bad. I don't think that will be the case. From it doesn't seem like it's a one-shot box. Like, it's not like they've put a new character in, like Piety and Pain. It's not like that, where it's just a good deal for the models that you get in there. Therefore, it's a limited release. So I can understand people's frustration, and I've not been in a situation where I've been sort of like waiting for stuff and not being able to get it, or stuff's become unavailable. I've not experienced that, so okay, maybe I can't speak for the people who are upset. But what I really, really fucking hate is people bagging directly on the Warhammer community team. So Nick Bayton and Adam Troke and all of those guys, and Eddie Eccles, who are the face of GW for us, going directly at those people and calling them bastards and shills and the worst things under the sun. You can get the fuck out. And there was something that I saw this morning that was shared or commented on by a very prolific podcaster in the UK. I'm not going to mention them. In tacit support of what this person was doing, there was an old Twitter account which is a couple of years old, where the Twitter handle is Warcorn, CORN team, instead of Warcom. So it looks very similar. And over the last couple of days, they have changed their Twitter profile to mirror exactly the Games Workshop Warhammer community team, including pictures of the staff members, all of the icons that they use, all of the descriptions, links, hashtags, everything. And then they've been going into threads where people are upset or confused about Curse City and other things, and responding as if they were Games Workshop, causing problems. I immediately was like, why again? So in a thread, I saw this account ask, "What other model companies would you would you also recommend?" Which is not something a business is going to do. No. Immediately clicked on it, realized it didn't have the blue check mark. It's not Games Workshop. Oh, it's a parody account. See, I don't have a problem with parody accounts. I follow a lot of parody accounts, and some of them are very, very funny. But you have to make people aware that you are a parody account. Otherwise, you are engaging in deliberate, malicious miscommunication. And I know it's about toy soldiers, but there are some people who would not look into that response they've got, will be confused, think Warhammer Community has responded to them and that they're going to be able to get a cursed city. Or, GW are saying, like in some, they were over defensive of themselves, which a company wouldn't do in a direct comment with people. Like literally saying, "Oh, don't attack us, don't shoot the messenger." Like they're not going to do that. And whoever's behind it, I think from the research I did, the account used to be called like Cornate Conversions or something. It's only got like a couple of dozen followers, etc., etc. So looking at it, it's not the Games Workshop one, other than physically copying them in every other way. And whoever's behind that, you're a cunt. Basically.
No, that was me being good, not chiming in with that one earlier. There you go. I agree completely.
I'm literally just sat here listening to you, and then you.
I'm sorry. Like I try to be as couth as possible, but you're making.
Sometimes you've just got to say cunt, mate. It's all right.
And we won't. I was about to say we won't say it again, but Sam said it again. But that's.
Should we just say it all episode now?
We still want to, be able to reach as many people as possible, and it is a harsh term. But the people who are deliberately going out there and kicking up more of a fuss than is necessary, and also the people who are deliberately causing a problem, can go do it. You're not helping anybody. You're not being funny because you're exploiting people's genuine, upset and emotion for. It's not even necessarily a cheap laugh because the idea is to deceive people. I mean, if on that they had a, spiel parody account, maybe, but it's exactly the same as the Warhammer Community one. Which you're not actually allowed to do. You're not allowed to pretend to be another company person, etc., without it being obvious that you are a parody account or engaging in satire, which is not what these people are doing.
Yeah, for example, God's Twitter account.
Which
is hilarious.
Yeah. Or the big case that happened over the last couple of years, which was mocking a right-wing American politician, which was
Trump.
Devin Nunes' cow. That they went to court over, and it was very funny. But there are a lot of Trump parody accounts, so that are obviously parody accounts.
I can imagine. Obviously,
it's hard to tell.
but
it's gone
pre-ban, yeah.
But, and I don't want to necessarily get hung up on the actions of one idiot, but
it's quite a significant action.
It's quite a significant action, and the sort of they're doing it just to be funny, to make fun of Games Workshop and attack Games Workshop because they've caused the community some level of hurt in some people. Some people's opinion,
did they?
But to then back it and go, actually, I think this is actually quite funny. Blah blah blah. Here's my, Warhammer adjacent community person, or content creator. everybody has an opinion on this. Obviously, we're talking about it, and we're one of the smallest creators in the universe.
And we definitely know what Callum's opinion is.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey.
We're not.
Hey.
we're the biggest and the best.
creators on the universe.
I imagine there are one smaller than us, but whatever.
Huge.
But
exactly.
So everybody's obviously got an opinion on it, and there are hundreds of Twitter threads where people are, immediately diametrically opposed. You're either 100% for Games Workshop or you're 100% against them, saying, "Oh, you should just 3D print all the models and download Curse City, and then you've got Games Workshop." People have lost the act of nuance and being able to appropriately criticize things without being an arse. I almost said it again. And
that's all right. We'll just put on Australian accents, and then it will just be, culture.
Yeah, that would be PG-13.
G'day, Blue.
So, just don't do that. If you're not going to engage constructively, or even politely destructively, what are you doing? I mean, we were talking a few episodes back that the important thing about going forwards with events and everything is don't be an arse, and because everyone's been through a bit of a rough time, and this isn't me saying don't do it, you're hurting a corporation's feelings. I'm not defending a multi-billion-pound company. I'm saying you're hurting a community that you probably engage with and love, because otherwise why are you doing it? You're not just some random Twitter troll who goes, "Oh, what's going on with Games Workshop and Cursed City?" You clearly care about the community enough to get involved and cause these problems. Just don't do it. Don't be an ass. I get it. Rebellion and stuff.
I get that.
It is important, but that doesn't do anything. That's dicky.
I see it a lot, even down at club level, where people just slag off parts of Games Workshop or of other games manufacturers and stuff like that because they don't like it, and it's almost like you're trying to enforce their opinion, on others because they don't like it, and it's just it just creates such a negative atmosphere within the hobby
I've
itself.
never really got.
It's just
I've never really got. Just shut up. They're absolutely everywhere. Those. Oh, I love the hobby, but fuck Games Workshop. It was like, what are you getting out of it? Oh.
Or I love. Or
yeah.
I love
no. Fuck everything. Fuck everything that's not Games Workshop.
If you don't like that game.
Yeah, of course. This is a Warhammer podcast.
There's Callum rubbing in on his cabana oil again.
Yeah.
But it's not necessary.
That's exactly.
Yeah, it's been going on for so long. You're not an edgelord anymore.
And that's what people are actually thinking.
Let it fucking go.
You'll have your little posse that will sit there and back you and stuff like that. But a majority of people that don't comment out of the X hundred amount that are in that group or whatever are just generally.
And that's not. And again, that's not to say you can't have criticisms of Games Workshop or any other manufacturer or other people. But
of course not.
If you're just going to actively be a disruption, what positive are you bringing to anything?
The hobby is something else.
The hobby, the Games Workshop in Warhammer hobby, is there for two reasons. One is to make money for people who own the business. Two, make people happy by giving them models to play, paint, and build. And if you're not engaging with the part that you can't be involved in, i.e. if you can't monetarily benefit from Games Workshop games or whatever, then you can only be involved in the hobby. And if you're not
enjoying it, why are you there?
if you're not enjoying it, or even if you aren't enjoying it, nothing gives you the right to deliberately tear down somebody else's enjoyment of the hobby or exploit other people's negative emotions that they're feeling for literally no gain other than maybe some followers or some notoriety. Like I used to be a bit of a internet troll back in the DAY, 10, 15 years ago or whatever. Like,
Jerry Babooner on Warseer.
Jerry Babooner on Warseer, yeah, exactly. And I get it, but I've grown out of that because I'm an old man now. Like,
and that guy totally asked for it.
Yeah, he did. Right. So, I didn't even realise that was what you were doing, Ricky, but good job. That's me responding in podcast to a message Ricky has sent me privately. So
it was nice to see that it's not I need a Wii for once.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. That's probably just a late message coming from.
Yes, yeah. This segment has dragged. So apologies if there are any audio issues with it, but like again, just don't be an arse. We all know that there's problems. Enjoy what toys are available, and fingers crossed, Curse City will make a reappearance in a couple of months. And yeah, I'm playing some more games tomorrow.
I can't wait to get my jabs done so I can come and play Garden Hammer.
Yeah, you must be almost there though. Anyway, I had a busy week this week, so I put off. I didn't do it the week before because I had the time off, and after your bout of all the side effects, I was like, I don't want to ruin my week off. And then I knew I had a busy week this week, so I'm going to book it next week. Okay, yeah, please do.
At least the first one, anyway. Yeah, they've called me up. They're like, we've noticed you've not booked it yet. I was like, don't worry, I'm not one of those nut jobs. I do want it. I was like, I'm purely not having it because I don't want to ruin my week off. And the guy was like, no, I totally get that.
And you don't leave your house. Right. So we'll leave that there. If people have got any opinions on that, give us a contact, DM me. Message me directly, and we'll have it out.
Just message Callum directly with the C word.
We'll meet up somewhere. We'll have a
fight. Another dubstep or elevator music break. We break for Ricky, and on the other side, we're going to be talking about model upgrades and questions from you lovely people. Thanks very much. Okay, thanks for waiting there, guys. We've had a great, very not safe for work conversation in the break that nobody else will ever hear. So you won't get to know what we're laughing about, but it was funny.
Maybe if you message us privately.
Moving on to whatever the next topic is.
What did you say it was? Evolution of models or something like that.
Evolution of models. So Be'lakor, the big bad, the first Demon Prince, the Dark Master, is up for pre-order tomorrow, so Saturday the 17th, and that model has gone...
Same size as he always was.
Like him himself...
It's no difference, mate. What are you talking about?
But those wings are huge. And this got me thinking, like, what other glow-ups can we expect?
Glow-ups.
That
is the term. That's the term.
That's the hip millennial term. Well, probably not even millennial. Gen
X.
No, you're Gen X.
No, I'm not. I'm a millennial, you fucker.
Oh, yeah, whatever, you're old. Gen Y. Gen... I don't know.
Whatever you want to be called, because we probably can't actually call you anything, because you've got an opinion on that.
Otherwise, it's swear. Because swear words at kids. Anyway, right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
big models
and
remakes.
So changes to like important characterful models within like AOS and 40k. I kind of wanted to talk about this when Be'lakor first came out, but we were just sidestruck by how cool the model was, and we just sort of were like, "This is cool" for a while. And then this week's New Model Monday from Games Workshop gave us an absolutely stonking example of this with the new Lord Croak in AOS for the Seraphon.
That was a drop and a half, wasn't it?
Just out of nowhere. I mean, Seraphon,
New Model Monday.
Seraphon they've had a new book fairly recently. It's a very powerful army within AOS, and Croak currently is one of the best models. Points for value in the game is ridiculous. So obviously, that model is a very cool model, like the classic one. I think it's currently in Finecast. The old mummified frog on a chair. He's a bit more beaten up than a normal Slann, and his skink is also a mummy and a skeleton. Like, it's a nice model, but it is 20 years old or whatever. And if you look at that in comparison to this ridiculous thing they posted up this week, like, both models are nice. Like that old Croak model is a nice model. It's not a bad.
It is a really good model
flat
compared to the original one.
I mean, compared to
it looks like he's sliding off his chair.
Well, from the if you compare it to like some of the models that were released like 20 years ago around that time, that are the flat classic Games Workshop pose.
Like, the old one-arm sculpts.
Yeah, like. In comparison, that's a model that has been able to be used for 18, 20 years, and the model's fine. You can paint it up however you want. New painting techniques and paints come out that still make it look great. And then there's this thing that actually looks like it's fucking floating. Just it's unreal. And I as soon as the model dropped, I fired off obviously pictures of it to a couple of our groups and up in a couple of chats and stuff. And it's quite funny. Ricky had exactly the same answer as our good friend Craig, which is quite funny.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. He what did he say? So his immediate,
obviously the same as what I said.
Well, it was very similar. I posted up essentially a side by side of the classic 5th edition book artwork and the new Croak model. And then Craig was like, anytime Mark Gibbons' drawing is used for an artistic reference, you know the model's going to be ace. And that's very similar to what you said. And but that's clearly where a lot of the influence is from. I mean, like, Croak's always had the big like Aztec mask thing. That's cool. But the sort of like snake banner coming off the back of him, he's got like a couple of sticks to shake at people and do magic. Like, even the chair has the serpent face like right between his legs. Like, it's that old mod. It's that old artwork.
Yeah, for sure.
Reimagined with, what GW can do in plastic, where they're the only company in the world that can do it. Like, I mean, I can't tell what is holding that center of the model up. Now, it's clearly like a very, very well angled photo, and it's like vines on floaty temple bits, like in a certain way to make it look like it's flying. But that is absolutely ridiculous. Like, I wasn't expecting it. Like, Lizardmen were my first Warhammer Fantasy army, so I'm very happy that this model's got a re-release, and I'll probably pick it up even though I don't have a Seraphon army anymore. Like, it's that cool. That's a big cool model to put on a shelf. And so sort of that's just the latest in a long line of like predominantly AOS models that have been sort of dug out of the fire or dug out of the bottom of bits boxes and given this sort of over the top massive model treatment. So obviously we've had Croak, we've had Be'lakor, we've had a reimagining entirely of Teclis from being a wizard in hammer pants with a stick and a sword,
with a 6 foot tall hat,
to still that, but flying with a giant sphinx buddy. Like Archaon went from bland Chaos Warrior with a big sword on a horse to 20-foot tall Archaon riding his giant 100-pound dragon thing. And even going like kind of further back, like the plastic Thanquol model, from generic grey seer with a different head and staff top.
He got a bell, didn't he?
Not to mention he was in the again the classic roadkill pose.
Yeah, exactly. No, he's on the giant like 4-armed version of Bone Ripper. Like, like the 4 flamethrowers.
Who's the one that's on the bell? Is that the Grey Seer? Or...
Yeah, that's just the generic Grey Seer.
Oh, okay. I was overthinking that.
But so and sort of the only example I can really think for 40k is Abaddon.
He got a big glow up. Yeah. Although the original glow up for 40k, I reckon was what was originally one of the worst models GW has ever put out, and I'm including Clown Nagash in this.
Nagash, and that was, Nagash, yeah, of course.
Yeah, again, clearly straight out of that fantastic artwork.
Yeah.
But the Blood Slaughterer for 40k was originally a demonically possessed electric wheelchair, and the worst thing they have ever made. Shame on you, GW. But when
we could say that about the many evolutions of Marnius Calgar.
Yeah, but I mean, Calgar's gone from a Marine in power armor sitting down to a Marine in power armor standing up, and then a Marine in power armor standing up in the same pose, and then a Marine in Terminator armor, and now a Primaris Marine. Like that's not the same. It's a Space Marine on a 40 mil base. Like, that's not really like sort of what I'm going for here. But
you want bigger and better than that.
Yeah, and to like a lesser extent, we saw the redo of Shadow Sun last year.
That was a good one. I like that.
Not like
that. I think that's on the same level as Marnius Calgar, though.
Yeah.
That's the same guy on the same size base, but has been taking vitamin B.
Oh no! Went from a 25 mil base to a 50, Ricky, and gained 2 extra arms and another gun.
2 extra arms.
Yeah.
Oh dear, Sam. Oh dear.
Yeah.
That's a terrible model, wasn't it?
Literally the worst thing they've ever produced.
Yeah.
It looks like the previous picture you actually sent.
Yeah, I just realised it's
pose. Yes, which we won't send that picture out. But sort of like these pivotal, like these really core models that you can theme an army around, or even like that Be'lakor model. Like I'm going to buy that Croak model as well. But like,
I quite fancy purchasing Croak.
Yeah, that's
if I'm honest.
That's like a paint challenge. Like it's just a cool model, and it's cool that there are things like this that aren't just like, oh, that's going to be really good in the game because it's an important character. It's a cool model. Like, if they just gave Croak's current rules to that model, you would still sell 100 million of them or whatever. I don't know. But
you're not just 100.
No.
We don't want that.
Because like the rules are currently very good, so people will buy a 20-year-old model for it. If you keep it good and release this awesome model, you'll sell a bucket load of it.
Then you change the rules.
Yeah, and then if you make this cool model with all of these ridiculous cool rules because you've released a ridiculous cool model, you're going to sell loads of it. So, I mean, those are the only real examples I can think of. Like, obviously, like Magnus and Mortarion didn't have real 40k. Like they just came out as big models. Like, and it's not really what we're talking about here. I can't think of anything else sort of AOS and fantasy wise, or 40k wise that's got that. Have you guys?
No, I think they've done most of the big ones that are still around or relevant.
Yeah, well. I mean, and sort of to like to a lesser extent. Obviously, we've seen like the new Drazan, we've seen the new Janezar.
Yeah,
Both.
It's not as flamboyant, is it?
No, it's not. See,
That's the same level as Shadow Sun.
Yeah, it's a bigger, better, nicer model. There's a nice scenic base. You know, it shows off the new modeling techniques that GW can do, but this is something different. Usually, when it incorporates like a big, cool base, like you can sort of think,
that's it.
Like, I mean, yeah, because that I can't stop looking at that Croak model. It's outstanding. But so it kind of got me thinking, like, what? Obviously, this is a thing GW are doing because it means they can produce these really cool models of characters that people already love. So there's already that sort of tacit connection to them. But what would you like to see? Like, have you got any? Like, I know we've all got like our favorite characters and stuff, but how would those be improved by making it like this? Like, are there anything that we can sort of shot in the dark at?
I mean, I would love a glowed up, fresh out off his tits on warp dust Caldor Drago. I would love that.
But how would that be like an impressive centerpiece model for an army? Like, I think it's more difficult in 40k because you've got. I
think there's still some.
Okay.
That require.
Go on.
Avatar of Cain.
There you go.
Does it require it though? Because
yes,
no one uses the Avatar of Cain anyway. Everyone just uses the Forge World model if they want one. That should just become the Avatar of Cain.
And I think that Forge World model still isn't quite enough.
No. Well, the Avatar of Cain rules don't match what that Forge World Avatar of Cain.
Not at all.
So yeah, but I could imagine a big Avatar of Cain model covered in like blood and fire and like jumping and throwing.
Be dripping with blood.
Yeah, and just
because it never is dripping with blood.
The metal one's got some blood on its claw.
No, it hasn't.
Does it not?
No, it really doesn't. They've always just managed to paint that in or model it. It literally is just a glaze. And the same with the Forge World one. It's exactly the same. I've got them both.
I don't.
In fact, I've actually got all three sitting in front of me. I've got the mini.
I've just googled it. You are right. That's a shame. But that's a good example.
He needs an example,
and like sort of they know that they can do it because they produced the Avatar of Iniad. Big floaty base.
Look how flamboyant she is. However you want to be. Anyway. However you want to be described in 2021.
Okay, so the Avatar that's an absolutely great example. Like, and you could imagine how that thing would be. Like, yeah, you could have like a smashed up. You could have a race.
It's nowhere near
as or whatever.
Yeah, it's nowhere near as strong as its chaos counterparts.
No, for sure.
And it should be. It's an equivalent. And yeah, it's not as flamboyant. It's not as good in the game. It just misses it. So that's a big example.
That's a good show.
And that's not just coming from an elder point.
Well, I was struggling to think of anything really for 40k, and was like, oh yeah, that's a great example.
That's probably a prime candidate.
Yeah, like Gazgul, for example. Like Gazgul, I know that it's essentially the old model but bigger, but I think that's just beyond the sort of like Calgar upgrade, like that the difference between that old little lump of 40 mil white metal to the giant monster, I think should be put in this sort of category. So yeah, I'm kind of like,
I don't think the game's as flamboyant, is it, as Age of Sigmar? You can't just take the big characters out of each codex and go,
that's the thing. Like, it doesn't
look at like trying to grab Farsight and go, what else can I do with him?
I mean, the Farsight model,
could he be anything more than a guy with a suit?
I mean, the Farsight model is in need of an upgrade because he's currently, I think, smaller than the normal battle suits now.
Is he? I thought he got a new
Well,
suit. Or is that still behind?
That's older. So the current Farsight model is older than the current battlesuits.
Of course he is.
Because they got redone in the 7th edition codex, whereas he's from the 5th edition book. So he's very small, and if you compare him to the Enforcer armor commander, absolutely tiny, looks ridiculous. So Farsight, like, you would have to imagine, like, there's obviously not going to be all of the flying stuff and lightning and shit, surrounding that sort of model. So you would need a nice, big, dynamic pose, like on the front of the old Farsight Enclaves book, where he's sort of like jumping down and striking something on like a big bit of ruin or something. That was the only real example that I could think of for a big character like that. Mainly because it doesn't seem as like I think it's more difficult in 40k to have that big centerpiece model because every faction has access to big models.
There's much bigger models. Like you got your knights, you got your tanks.
Exactly. I mean, you look at like in AOS. Obviously, there's loads of monsters and big models about, and there's a faction of Gargants and Mega Gargants. But that pales in comparison to all of the big models that are in 40k. You've got giant tanks, like Forge will just churn out all of these big, ridiculous kits and stuff. I think AOS is better for it because you can have a model. You can have someone like Teclis, who is an elf god, big in proportion in comparison to a normal elf, and still have it on that big base flying with his hands up, and then a giant sphinx and stuff with him. Whereas you're not going to see like Creed on a 60mm base, like firing his guns in the air, covered in explosions and flags. If you get what I mean?
On a flying carpet.
Well, surely this is the time for Yarrick to come back with his Fortress of Arrogance. There we go.
Well, yeah. I mean, like I did
with that Mega Claw that's twice the size of him.
I did see a really nice conversion where someone's built Solar Macaris out of the new Griff Overworld, the Blood Bowl player, because he's got the ornate armor, and then they had like cherubs flying behind him with Celestine's wings to give that.
Is Solar Macaris even still alive?
He's dead. I'm pretty sure.
Long dead.
Oh yeah, I guess he might have been.
But it looked like, and so it was on like a 100mm base, and it's that Solar Macaris artwork, where he's striding forward in front of the tank and the wings are glowing behind him, and he had loads of different like guardsmen in poses in front of him. It was a really cool model. I hope I'll grab some pictures of it. But you get what I mean. Like you can have a magic like normal human in AOS, put them on a big base, and it makes sense. It doesn't make sense in 40k as much. Like
it's almost like there's only really one example, isn't there? And that's the Avatar.
And hopefully we'll see sort of more stuff for that in 40k as we go. But I think you're more likely to see the sort of Primarisifying of models to make them.
So just vitamin B.
Yeah. I mean, like Drazar, for example, is massive compared to every other Dracaria model, and
I've got an idea for Drazar.
Don't you do that?
I've got to do it.
But I don't really mind it for these sort of unique characters because, like, they're the big cool thing on the table. Like, I don't care if they're out of scale, like, necessarily, because the model's nice. There's only one of them. It represents like a legendary character on the table. It's not like when you're playing Total War and like your general is bigger than everything, like all the normal people around, so you can actually see it on the map. Like. I don't really mind that so much. So, just any sort of ideas of like AOS stuff we'd like to see, or characters we'd like to see like reimagined. I don't really know. I mean, I was sideswiped by Croak. Like, I would have thought if I got given an example of what old school Warhammer like Lizardman character would they redo on like a big monster and a big base? Like
I would have expected Mazdamundi.
Well, yeah,
if we're going down that route.
Yeah, Slam with a
fuck
big
me,
chair
yeah.
riding a big dinosaur. Exactly.
Right,
Yeah.
a big dinosaur. Yeah, I love Mastermundi. He was
So
freaking brilliant.
but it being Croak and going like, and it's quite cool because I'm pretty sure that in the Warhammer world, other than the Chaos Gods, which work differently in that to when they do in 40k, he's like the oldest thing that's still about.
Yeah,
because the old ones.
Yeah, he's a second evolution of.
Well, he's a first generation Slan.
Oh, he's a first generation.
So he was one of the first Slan that were popped into existence by the old ones when they created the world. Obviously, the old ones, as far as we're aware, don't exist anymore. As far as we're aware, the Chaos Gods exist in a different way in fantasy than they do in 40k. But Croak was there at the start of the world, like, and in some way he's still about. And I thought that was quite cool that there's still this.
I've got a big soft spot.
Yeah, I love Slan. Like, bring
the whole old ones, War in the Heaven style stuff is my pinnacle. Like what I love.
Bring Slan and the old ones into 40k, and I would be all over that. Like, just that model on some City of Death ruins would be awesome in 40k.
Avatar Kane
just snapped out of existence because Slan is fucking awesome.
He'd just be like, Ribbit, is that a big banshee? Snap, gone.
It's that big banshee. you are aware of that. The Eldar were like their finest example of creation.
Yeah, but people can change their minds.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. They're probably sitting up on their little skyships now, going,
really.
We did that.
Really dropped a bollock on that one.
But I mean, sort of, like, wouldn't it be cool? And this is me saying, wouldn't it be cool in reference to some Craftworld Elder models if they did multiple versions of the Avatar, like depending on which Exarch they
sacrificed
in the Court of the Young King. Like, that would be cool, wouldn't it?
It's multiple though, isn't it?
But like one becomes the Avatar, doesn't it? They push one into the.
Yeah, I don't really remember anymore.
And then
I'm fairly certain one becomes the Avatar. Yeah,
and then the others all form the Court of the Young King, don't they?
Yeah, and then they go, "Damn, I wanted to be."
But wouldn't that be cool if you had like a big, terrible howling banshee avatar, and then all of the other cool aspect warrior avatars?
Yeah, all of the other avatars just outshine.
I feel a striking scorpion avatar would be quite horrifying as he tries to sneak through a wood and realizes he's burnt the whole fucking thing down as he's going along.
Quiet, dark flames.
Just there going
tiptoeing like Elmer Fudd.
Oh fuck!
Yeah, that's I think, or you know, like a Court of the Young King, like having loads of individual.
Court of the Young King. That was such a good little.
Yeah, having like, it would be cool if they had some like higher level Exarchs running around as characters and stuff like that. I think that would be.
Oh, you mean you're talking second edition
and epic? That'd be rad. Sam saying big howling banshee avatar. Just sort of put that in my mind. But yeah, so I hope that obviously some other people give us some ideas. I mean, like there's loads of examples of characters getting new models. I mean, like Slime Arvo, he got made like the plastic Araman. I read the article when they previewed him, and they were just like, the old model was good enough, so we made it in plastic, made it a bit more floaty, gave him some magic, and put him on a disc. Like, that's a good example of making an old model better without going over the top. Now, I think that's what they'll do with a lot of things. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the sort of, if you look at the old Jane Czar model and the new Jane Czar model, like Yeah, stylistically,
the
they're
same
exactly
model,
the same. It's just bigger and in plastic and nicer.
Same as Jazar,
well, no,
really.
Jazar's a lot different. He
he's
doesn't have dagger hands and look like a praying mantis. Oh,
He's
what an
the same.
awful model that was.
Nah, he's the same.
but
And Lilith. She's the same.
Lilith's almost exactly the same. She just put trousers on.
All the Cavalite warriors,
Well,
all
they
the
haven't
same.
changed. Oh, well, yeah.
No, not at all. They got the same hair and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, don't get me wrong. I would love an Ahriman on a big base, like surrounded by floaty books and stuff. That would be cool. But
that would be really wicked, wouldn't it? I think Eldrad needs a bit of an upgrade, more than what he's recently had. I think he needs to float.
Well, that was it. Like Eldrad would look cool, surrounded by. I mean, essentially, give us all of the cool characters that we like, surrounded by floaty rocks. Is a thing.
Yeah. And books and Rooney.
That would be really cool. And like skulls on the fast
floaty rock.
Yeah. I think psychic stuff's not good enough in 40k. I think there needs to be wizard wars.
Yeah, I need Magnus to be able to murder everything in my opponent's army without him swinging the giant 40-foot whopping glaive. Yeah.
I guess the only problem is Magnus exists. There's not really many psychers out there.
There shouldn't be.
No.
And whether or not he's actually good at casting psychic powers in game is actually quite debatable.
This is when like a little Astra Militarum psycher's going deny.
Only +2 to cast, you say? That's not even. And only 3 psychic powers. That's the criminal bit.
Fanya. Denied by a fucking Militarum.
Actually criminal. He casts the same amount of psychic powers as Ahriman. And Ahriman has a permanent +1 to cast, whereas Magnus's +2 goes down as he takes wounds. Terrible. Yeah. Justice for Magnus. We'll take a quick break and then run through some questions and finish up. Thanks very much. Awesome. Thanks for waiting there in that break, guys and girls. We've had a few questions pop up on some of our posts in random social media platforms. So, Ricky, have you got them?
I have got them.
Far away, my friend.
Couple of locations, and let's start with Mr. Ben Counter.
Woo.
Friend of the show.
We love you, Ben.
Yeah, we love you, Ben. Woo, woo. So Ben's asked, any ideas for cool armies of renown? Off the top of my head, I reckon they could be used to make a sweet Inquisitor lead Imperial Soup type army, or maybe a kind of Urian Rakar's circus of flesh clowns.
Yes, so
down to that.
So obviously the armies of renown have started to be introduced in the Warzone Caradin books. So the first book of Rust, there's a few armies of renown in there where it's essentially just you can build your army from a limited pool of models and get a load of different benefits. So there's a Death Guard one, which is the Terminus S Assault Force. So that's Typhus's big plaguey space boat full of stuff. And essentially, it's the restrictions are
COVID-19 and Spanish flu.
Like the restrictions are you can't take any vehicles basically in this list, but they get the ability to, when they put stuff into strategic reserve, instead of outflanking, they can just deep strike. That represents him just teleporting stuff in, and he can spawn new units of plague zombies and stuff like that. So it gives you like some different warlord traits and stratagems and stuff to play around with for these cool like themed armies. The other one is one of the other ones is the Mechanicum like defense cohort. So you can't have anything with the Skitarii keyword. So it's all of the Castellan robots and Cat from breaches and stuff. And essentially, it's a bunch of robots who stand still and blow up everything that comes within sight. Kind of like the sentry gun in Aliens is how I imagine it.
Yeah.
And again, a bunch of cool stratagems and like warlord traits and abilities for that style of army. So in the context of that campaign, that's the Mechanicus army that's on Caradon. Like that's what Typhus shows up, and that's what he's going to fight against, because they are there to defend the forges and all the cities and stuff, and that represents that style of army. So some cool like armies of renown. Yeah, I'd like to. Yeah, so like Urian Rakath and his like flesh cavalcade would be really cool. But there's not really a lot of units within the Homunculus Covens as themselves. I would say really to sort of fill out an army. Like you can have loads of stuff with the Homunculus Coven keywords for Drukhari, but it's not really the same as having lots of different types of units. So yeah, I'd like to see like a like a Guardian strike force. That would be perfect for one.
Oh, piss off! I was about to say that.
So describe your ideal Guardian strike force, Ricky. Thunder stolen.
Yeah, completely. I want. Do you remember the old Craftworld Codex? That was like super thin, and you used to have like the different armies for each of the craft worlds, or the main craft worlds anyway. I'd like to see that back. So the classic Elfway Black Guardians, where Storm Guardians were great, and that type of thing, all just popping up through webway portals and doing all their shenanigans that they did. That made them great, because once you took that away, it was just literally a 3 toughness 3 armored 5+ guy that just sat there getting the shit shot out of him. Bless him. But yeah, an Elfway Strike Force, that would be immense. Yeah. Led by bringing back a proper Seer Council.
Yeah, a bit like a proper Seer Council. Yeah. You know, if you did
proper Seer Council.
Yeah, like so like Eldrad and Elfway Strike Force, like jet bikes and war walkers and all of that good stuff would be.
That's it.
Would be cool.
Literally, like everything that was Guardian manned. Obviously, that's Elfway through and through. That would be amazing. I mean, that would be really beneficial to me.
You've got like 120 Guardians, haven't you?
Yeah. He's looking longingly at his Elfway case.
I have about 5 Farseers and about 20 Warlocks and about 120 Guardians just sitting there going, one day, boys. One day.
We got better.
We they did.
But
there
not
was 2
better
stratagems that made them good.
What about you, Sam? Any ideas for an army of renown?
I know what I want, and it's something I've toyed with many times over the years, and I want a proper ecclesiarchy penitent crusade. That's what I want. Tides and tides of arcoflagellants, Karamazov striding through it, Uriah Jacobus trying to marry people off to his daughter with his shotgun, all sorts.
Yeah, so like Flagellants, Repentia, Mortifiers, Penitent Engines, all of the...
I really discover a different side of you each time we talk about this sort of thing, Sam.
Well, you can't tell me that any edition of the Uriah Jacobus model doesn't look like a mad farmer with a shotgun.
and a stick. That's his marrying stick.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, so
what about you, Callum?
So my initial thought was the Black Guardian thing, because I knew that you would think about it, and I would get to speak first.
What a prick. So that means you've got nothing, and whatever you say now is kind of irrelevant.
Pretty much. I mean, like an army where you would be able to take like a bunch of Thousand Sun sorcerers.
Sounds boring.
And they were like over the top good. That would be really cool to represent all of the so you could represent Ahriman's all of the ones who got exiled with Ahriman before Magnus reappeared, and they bumped fists and made up. That would be.
I love how Thousand Sun players are effectively just Eldar players, but in power armor.
But Egyptian and better.
Well, yeah, but where everyone thinks they've got the best psychers, and yet the game never represents what you want it to be.
No, Big Red literally tore a hole in the void shield around Earth. Like, I don't think anything that exists in 40k should be able to match Magnus on a psychic level, and all he does is do a better smite.
Chaos.
I can just imagine Magnus laying on a couch with Eldrad just sitting there going, "So, what did you think he did wrong?"
It's just like yeah. But anyway, we this is the second time we've started talking about Magnus and Eldrad.
It's good times.
Yeah, I'm not bitter. But I think that would be cool. So like, maybe an army that either it represents like Magnus bringing all of the Thousand Sons back together, and having him surrounded by all of the exalted sorcerers, and the like Araman and the 9 exalted sorcerers will have all of their silver towers and stuff. That would be cool. Or
that'd be fancy.
Or Araman's exiles, so all the sorcerers that follow him, going around stealing books and lurking, trying to find the Black Library. That'd be cool.
Lurking.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, so that'd be cool. Thank you very much for that, Ben. Anybody else that obviously has cool ideas for them, pop them in comments below on whatever platform you're listening to us on. That'd be cool. Apart from Spotify, because you can't do that. Next question.
Terrible. So from Ashley Elliott, we have which Primarch do you hope gets a model next, both Imperium or Chaos? I'd like to see an Angron model himself. I don't care much for Angron. I don't care.
No, like the thing is the sort of, you can imagine at some point we'll get Fulgrim and Angron because we've got Magnus and Mortarion.
I can't see Angron being anything more than a bigger, angrier bloodthirster at this point. I'm not sure what else they could do to make him really pop.
Love you, Alan.
That's a difficult model to produce because it's not
like
he's going to be a half power armored bloodthirster, isn't he?
Yeah. I think they'll have if they're going to do it. I think they'll have a hard time doing it justice. Like that'll be a tough one to make people happy with. I think.
Yeah, I mean, so sort of like Angron and Fulgrim are what I would expect. I mean, I don't necessarily like the idea of there being any more loyalist Primarchs that come back.
No,
because mainly because
I want Jagatai.
Well, like Jagatai is the only interesting one. I love Vulcan, but like
and Vulcan, he's wicked.
But the problem with them is
there's always a problem.
Well, the problem, yeah. That's what the whole heresy was about. The problem with the loyalist ones is that
big space marine.
Well, A, just a big space marine. There's not really anything you can do with it, and B, Gulliman's better than every single one of them because that's his job, and that's
he was the master. He was the master strategist.
Yeah, that's like he was essentially he was designed by the Emperor to be
the boring one,
the boring one who's better than everybody at everything apart from fighting, but everybody else fights better because he's feeding them numbers and stuff. So it's sort of like Lionel Johnson would be really cool, but Lionel Johnson and Gulliman are pretty much exactly the same.
I'd love to see a Knight Crusader.
Yeah,
be like, yeah.
But I mean, but like,
I wouldn't say no to Mad Vulcan.
Oh yeah, crazy post several resurrections Vulcan would be great. But then you're sort of it's just a loyalist version of the Demon Primarchs essentially. It'd be Vulcan like crazy spewing magic light and stuff. So like Jagatai would be cool, and in the same vein as Jagatai, not on anywhere near the same level of coolness.
Don't you dare say it.
But like Russ would be exactly the same as Jagatai. They're the really supreme warrior.
He would.
One is a cultured gentleman's choice for Primark, and one is everybody likes Space Wolves. And like Sanguinius, what is Sanguinius other than as Gulliman with wings? Like it's not.
Well, he's also
Yeah,
dead.
but that doesn't matter.
That's not going to stop the design team.
No, 100% matters.
But like, so
imagine trying to answer that on a Warhammer community fucking Twitter.
like
He's dead.
Yeah, like but Gulliman has been in stasis for 10,000 years. Like,
Yeah, the answer to it
but
is
the Eldar got him
is
back,
it no?
yeah, but yeah, the answer to that is like, oh, where's Dawn? We only found his hand. He was under a rock, under terror. Nobody thought to look. Like it can be what.
And now he's currently joined the Necron army.
It can be whatever. So, like, I like the idea of Gulliman being like the last bastion of what the Imperium is, and he doesn't even like his job. Like the cool thing about the Gathering Storm books is when he got to Terra, he was like,
I'm going to hand my notice in.
Holy shit! What have you done? Why are they all worshipping him as a god? But there is a really great meme. There's of a classic like neckbeard weeby guy like with a flaming sword, and it's like looking panicky, and it's like the first time Gulliman picked up the Emperor's sword, and it's just like he hates it because he's just like, what, like, this is not what the Imperium was supposed to be. Like, it's the reason why he started his own second Imperium in the Heresy.
Yeah,
it was like, I'm in charge now. I've even got an Astronomicon in a box, which is a good story. Yeah, so like Demon Primarchs would be cool because there's more of them and there's more chances of doing
and
cool
scope
models.
for big ridiculous models.
Yeah, I mean, like, you could build a giant ridiculous robot for Patabo when he disconnects himself from his Unicron planet. Like, that would be cool. Like, and okay, like, Kurz is dead, but if they've found a way to bring Kurz back, a giant demon Batman, like, that's cool. Like, Sanguinius is not cool. Yeah, so it's
Sanguinius can fuck off.
They can all get fucked. Whatever, doesn't matter. I hope that answered your question from me, anyway.
Yeah, we're pretty much with you.
We're expecting the other two godded up demon Primarchs, and you should be happy with that.
We have a lot of mention of Primarchs actually in some of these questions. So, Mr. Mark Pearson. So, who is your favourite Primarch based on their backstory and their actions?
Magnus!
I know what you're going to say, Callum.
Yeah.
There we go.
He's cool. He's a big magic space Egyptian guy. He's rad.
Yeah, you got done wrong.
That's going to be my shortest ever answer.
Him and for me it was Magnus and Angron because that for me they're the two that got done wrong.
Yeah.
And Angron has some amazing like cinematics in the novels, like bursting out the front of exploding Thunderhawks and holding up a fucking Warhound Titan's foot to save Lorgar. Brilliant.
Yeah, that's great. After digging himself out of a building that collapsed on him.
Yeah.
Like, and Angron's story is really sad.
Yeah, it's really. No, I don't want to go, Dad. It was like, well, you can't stay here if you've got nothing to stay for, so I murdered all your friends.
Yeah. just
now get in the car.
Yeah, him being really sad and essentially wanting to die. Self Ricky?
I don't really care because
hasn't got pointy ears.
All three of us agree on
wankers.
Good.
I think Magnus is wicked because I like the whole Webway War type style thingy. But I really do like Jagatai as well because he's one of the very few that I remember from the old those books that they brought out. What were they called? That they introduced the Space Marine chapters with
the Index of Smarties books.
Yeah, that's the ones. Yeah, and the story about him uniting all the horse tribes and stuff like that of his planet was proper.
And
One day
freaking
he'll
cool.
get let out of that Necron
So-
Pokeball.
Yeah, and he's great in the Heresy novels because he's another one of the Primarchs that is like people don't actually understand me. I'm not a savage. Like he plays chess.
No.
He plays chess really, really well. And he's really cool. And he's a Mongolian with a big sword.
And
That's
bloody
awesome.
good at throat singing.
That's it.
So that's very cool.
Okay. So if you had to choose a character to become in 40k, so this is yourself, who would you choose to become? Who would it be? But it can't be Primarch or Silent King level of power. I like how Primarch and Silent King are both effectively the same power.
Well,
level.
they are supreme commanders in Warhammer 40k.
Except one has a floaty chair and zappy shields, and unfortunately the others don't.
But the others, a third of the others is Magnus.
It's true that. It's true that.
I'm not sure because the 40k universe is actually god awful. Like it is a terrible, awful place. But like from a purely sort of like personal, like job satisfaction level, you know, like being like a Gene Stealer cult Primus or a Magus or something.
Yes.
Because you live about as long as a normal human. Most of the time, you're not engaging in the horrificness of the 40k universe. You're just like pretending to be a guy doing an office job or whatever. And if you're a good one,
so basically you're locked.
And if you're a really good one, you've got hundreds of thousands of people who worship you as a god. That's pretty cool. Like you're the only thing above you is the patriarch. The only downside is that you're a horrific alien hybrid mutant, and yeah, there could be worse. That or a Tau Ethereal, almost exactly the same answer. Like
Tau Ethereal is just
nobody can say shit to you because you've got weird pheromone powers over them and sweet robes.
All right then, robes, bro.
Sweet robes indeed. But it's only really a towel around the waist.
All right, that.
Yeah, it's to be fair, I've seen you in exactly that.
What about you guys?
For me, it'd probably be someone like Eisenhorn, just so I can travel around the galaxy drinking space brandy and getting space tang, and then when shit really goes south, I'll just call up my best mate and bind a demon into Callum.
Awesome, thanks.
No, sorry, buddy, shit's gone south.
Brilliant. I think I'd go for someone like Trajan Valoris.
I mean, he's
because I don't really like answering to a lot of authority.
Like, I would put Trajan Valoris or whatever his name is at Primarch level. He's in charge of the custodian guard, Ricky.
Yeah, but it's 40k. He's not custodian level. He can't go. No, he
can't go toe to toe with them in the game. But he's in charge of the custodes, Ricky.
Nah, it's not. It's not.
All
right, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always going to say some kind of big character. So each one of them is going to effectively be, Primarch level. Yeah. Whatever.
I think we've lost Sam. I think his headset has died.
Yeah, I don't know why. Because you should just plug it in.
I imagine he spends all day on the phone using it at work instead of doing a hobby and building stuff during the
charging
day.
it. Yeah.
Did we have any others? Okay.
We got one more, from Mr. Warhammer Portsmouth himself, Mr. Lee Hiscock. I like this question.
Lee.
So he's saying, I'd like to hear about your decision-making process when writing an army list. what factors are most important, i.e., best models, most effective unit, combos with other units, army theme, etc.
Okay. You go first, and then I'll answer for Sam because I know him inside out.
I think I'm between the two of you when it comes to this. I like to feel that when I write an army list, I want it to be as effective as possible on the battlefield, but I don't want to sacrifice what I feel is pretty cool. So I guess making sure that I can get the most effective combos with what I can get out of it with the units that I love. Yeah. But not sacrifice it too much that the army's actually not going to work. So I feel I've got a bit of competitiveness slash hobby in there.
Yeah, no, that
makes sense.
That makes perfect sense.
Whereas I feel Sam is more towards a hobby aspect, and maybe you're more towards the other.
Yeah, I would definitely say that, like, from my experience of knowing Sam forever, so I'm going to speak for him. Yeah, like Sam likes a range of a set of models from a range, builds an army around that, and then tries to apply some level of competitiveness to that stuff. And whether or not it works, like for example, his like Iron Hand successor Dreadnought army, like when he built it, it was actually okay against some things in the game, but in general, it wasn't an overly effective 40k army. Now it's actually it's the only good Iron Hands build, so that he's lucked out on that one. But there's that sort of cool modelling, painting aspect of it, a cool looking, unique, fun project to do, which is the sort of thing Sam likes, before moving on to something else or whatever. And like his Renegade Guard, like I know he's going to use them as a regular Astra Militara army because Renegade Guard don't exist anymore in 40k, and they were terrible when they were. But that's a cool modelling opportunity to just go nuts with.
I mean, on the back of that myself, I won't use a unit that looks terrible, even if it's for a competitive point of view. Like if I know that unit is going to be like really amazing in the battlefield, but it's just toss looking, and it doesn't fit an army, I just won't use it. I've got some morals, I think, somewhere along the line.
World Elder, fascinating. But no. But I feel like I want the main thing that I want from any army that I do, realistically, is to take it to an event, 5-6 games, and go 3-3, 2-3, 3-2. Like be okay and not take it to a tournament and get absolutely romper stomped. And I know I took Knights to Confrontation, and Knights are one of the worst armies in 40k at the moment. And I won 2 out of 5 games, and I was in 4 out of the 5 games. So that's sort of fine. And if there is something that, but now I am tending to focus on armies of ranges that I really like more than anything. I think that's why I didn't get on with the Death Guard project last year. I got caught up with what they could do in 40k at the time,
and you just didn't.
No, and look, I don't really like Nurgle stuff. Like I've had a Nurgle Demon army in the past, and I bought this army purely for what it could do, and then with anticipation of what that could then do in early 9th edition. And the models are nice, but I didn't really get on with them. So that's why they've sat in the box, and I've played like 2-3 games of them. So I tried to like almost force an aesthetic on models that I think are going to be good. And so like for example with my knights, like I don't like I don't like painting, and you can go to town with heraldry and stuff on knights, and they can look absolutely great. Now, like my knight army is still work in project, but I really enjoyed the style and conversion and building that army, even though it wasn't necessarily the most effective, but I tried to get the most out of it. And
yeah, for sure. I mean,
and if there's something
great.
that is very good but a TOS model, I will try and do something with the TOS model to make it not look TOS. Look, I like building models. Like I love building and especially like converting and creating characters and stuff out of other bits. As long as it's not like building a better model because I'm being cheap. I'm not like that. So yeah, I mean, like I'm excited for any opportunity to play with something different. So actually, like writing an army list and stuff, and I could probably ramble on about this forever. So, Lee, if you want to pop me a message and actually go through it, we can talk forever, and that's obviously open to anybody else as well. But sort of, I feel like I look at the game as a whole, and how the missions are played, and how you win the missions, and this is through all different editions of 40k, because that's how you win games, is completing the mission. And then what in the army of models that I really like can achieve that through one way or another. In previous editions, it was I like the tower models because battle suits are rad, and I could win games by literally killing all of my opponent's models. That was cool. I can build an army that looks cool. I can convert a load of battle suits and stuff, pose them, and play a fun, interesting army in the way that I was playing Tau in like 6th, 7th edition, without just just plonking a bunch of boring models on the table. So that's the most important thing. Obviously, in 9th edition, you have to be wary of how you capture the main objectives to score as many as your 45 primary points as possible. And then I say build an army with a couple of secondaries in mind that you can get 20, 25 points out of, and then have a list of other ones in mind that you can achieve depending on opponent, mission, and deployment. And then within that, you can then say, like, okay, I can achieve this by doing that way. I've got 900 points left. What do I want to be able to achieve with those points? Whether or not it's just redundancy, like, do I want a load of bully units to help me keep hold of those objectives, or what? So it really depends on like the army or codex that you're playing, because there are options in all of them, bar Knights, Chaos Knights, and Gene Stealer Cult and Tau. Without going to like real in-depth playing hundreds of games with the worst codexes, there are real options in all the other books apart from them, I think. So it really depends.
I get a good enjoyment.
Yeah. I like playing with something that other people don't actually have. So
yeah, I think that's a big thing for me sometimes. Like that being able to, as you just discussed, like being able to achieve those mission objectives with an army that's not as good at it than say others. From someone who's played Harlequins for so long that have been an absolute toss codex, and it just so happens to be quite a good codex at the moment. I don't want to look at them, and where Craft World Elder are quite a bad codex at the moment, compared to say some others. Like I'm more interested in them. Whereas I brought a focus to Custodes, where they were quite good at some stuff in the new edition, and I'm like that almost took the appeal away. And I feel that underdog style of things.
Yeah, I think Custodes, for example, are in a really good place if you're playing pure Custodes. They're not, because there are things that they are bad at. So that's got. I now like playing with an army that like no one else is really using. For the last few years, I pretty much played with Gene Stealer Cult, and that wasn't because they were bad. It's because the army is prohibitively expensive to buy. Because seven seven,
Yeah,
five,
tons of them, and they're
7 quid
not cheap
models
models.
cost you 25 quid retail. Like, so it just so happens that they're terrible now. But that was fun playing with them because it was such a completely different way to play 40k. Exhausting because you had to move a lot, you had to move a load of models, you're doing everything in every phase. I saw someone describe them currently in 9th edition as, if you're playing with Genestealer Cult, you're putting 3 games worth of effort to lose 1 game. Which like the games I've played with Genestealer Cult have felt like that. I've just felt exhausted because I'm just cannot do anything. And it's really interesting. I'm really happy that Codex comes along and they do a really good job on it. But yeah, it's really interesting. Like with Knights, like I know Knights are bad in this edition currently, but they were a load of fun to build. They were kind of fun to paint, and they were really fun to play with because I just got to push like 5-6 big models around the table and kill stuff because I knew that I wasn't going to win 5 games, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think like I'm not so far on the competitive end of the spectrum anymore. Like I used to shave points down in Tau armies to get the most amount of benefit out of everything, and that's where the majority of all the trophies and stuff come from that like a couple of year period. But yeah, I see. Yeah, I'm not. I think I'm closer to you and Sam now. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah, so thanks for that, Lee. I will pop into Warhammer Portsmouth soon, and we'll have a chat anyway. But yeah, pop me a message if anybody wants to discuss, because I love talking about toys. So yeah, so I'm happy to. Ricky, are you still there? Ah, okay. Yeah. I've just got a
I'm
message
still here.
saying that
Can you
your
hear me?
headphones are dying now. So yeah, it's been a really long episode.
Yep.
I think it's this one's going to be well over 2 hours. So apologies for everybody because I've rambled a lot. But yeah, thanks for your questions. It is really nice diving in every few weeks and answering stuff like this. Like I love talking about lore. I love talking about gaming and stuff, and obviously hearing Sam and Ricky's opinions are fun every now and again too.
Wow.
Any shout outs before we go, Ricky?
Not at the moment. I've been quite off social media at the moment. So I haven't really seen massive amounts going on. Apart from the fact I did see, a classic Nagash on what was it, like an 80 mil, 60 mil base, something crazy like that. As tall as the new Nagash. Yeah. It made me laugh so much.
Yeah.
It is awful.
No, that's cool. Obviously, jump on our social media platforms and engage with us, etc., etc. Recommend us to your friends, and just go out and support your local Warhammer stores and your local independent stockists. Everyone needs it. The people who work in the Warhammer stores, for example, I know that they don't offer discount and they're the face of the corporate empire, but they're still people. They're still all hobbyists, and they've been locked up just as long as everybody else. So yeah. Fire any questions over, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thanks very much.